Hey, everybody. It's that time. It's 7 o'clock. This is Kelly here with Grace for Living After Loss. And tonight we are going to talk about the 3 things that you need to recover from grief and loss in 2024. Turns out it's just 3 things. You just need 3 things. That's all. It's simple, but it's not easy. It's just like weight loss and saving money and accomplishing any hard task. It's not complicated, but it's not easy. But first, before we launch into that, I just want to say well done to all of us. We all made it through the holidays. And I know for some of you, the holidays were a time of actual celebration and joy, and you had a good time with the holidays. For some of us, the holidays you were just trying to get through. So I just want to say we made it through. we made it through the holidays. And we made it through 2023. And again, for some of us, just making it through 2023 is an accomplishment. And we shouldn't skip over that. We should acknowledge and celebrate the fact that we have been through some stuff. And maybe 2023 was a tremendously hard year for you. Maybe it was the hardest year you've ever had. And here you are in 2024. So what a beautiful time for reflection. What a beautiful time to wipe the slate clean and set your intentions for what you would like to see in 2024. Because my hope and prayer for everyone who sees this video, especially if you're seeing it at the beginning of the year, is that you would dare to dream a little bit bigger for 2024, that your goal would not just be to survive the year, but that this would be the year when you learn how to live again. And not just live, but that you would design a life that you enjoy living, that you look forward to living, that by this time next year, we're not just all gritting our teeth and trying to get through the holidays and trying to make it to 2025, but that we actually have received and gained our healing, that we actually have taken great strides in our grief recovery, and that we are now enjoying life much more so at the end of the year than we are right now this year. So that's my little soapbox about the holidays and making it through. But the focus for our time together today is the 3 things that you need in order to recover from grief this year. The first one, and I know we had this in the Facebook group and everybody shared some thoughts, some guesses, some suggestions, and I loved everybody's input. There was some really insightful things that people shared on the Facebook group, so I love that. So these are the 3 things, according to me, the 3 absolute must-haves for grief recovery in 2024, okay? Thing number one, and this is thing number 1, is the belief that you can recover. You are going to need to have that if you're going to recover in 2024. It's the foundational starting place. You have to believe not only that recovery is possible, but that recovery is possible for you, that you can recover. You don't need to know right now how, but you absolutely have to have the fundamental belief that you can recover and that recovery is for you. And so I want to say a quick word to those of you that may think you can't recover, that either recovery is impossible or recovery is not for you. Send me an email or message me on Facebook, because I would like to give you example after example after example of people who have recovered from grief and loss and who are loving their lives right now. Because the best thing you can do for your mind that doesn't believe something is possible is to fill it with examples of it being possible, right? And I know a lot of you know my story, that I didn't think recovery from grief was possible. When I lost my mom to suicide, I thought I would never recover. I thought I would just be sad for the rest of my life. And it wasn't until I was confronted with an example of a woman who had recovered from something so horrendous that I realized recovery was possible. So don't be discouraged if you find yourself honestly checking in and thinking, well, recovery is not possible, or it's not possible for me. That's okay. Just be honest with yourself about where you're at, and then reach out to us, and we would be more than happy to give you example after example of people and persons who have recovered from loss. And that literally is going to do really great things for your mind, because our minds are so fascinating that if we give our mind the answer to something, it takes it as fact, and then it will find the supporting evidence along the way. So the good and the bad news of that is, if you're telling your mind, or if you think your mind believes that recovery is not possible, your mind is assuming that that's fact. And so your mind is going to look to your feelings and maybe look to what your friends say or what other people say, and it's going to be looking for evidence to prove that you're in fact correct and that recovery is not possible. And unfortunately, there's all sorts of examples and there's all sorts of information out there that is going to seemingly back up that fact that recovery is not possible. On the other side, though, if you do dare to believe that recovery is possible and you put your mind on that agenda, your mind is going to go out and find all sorts of examples to prove that recovery is possible. I myself am an example. All of our coaches on the team are the example, as well as many people who are active in our Facebook community and in our membership are all examples of people who have recovered. So I cannot overstate it enough. This is step number one. And it's okay if this step takes you a little bit of time, because if you don't get this step, you're honestly wasting your time on any kind of program, on any kind of effort to get over. If you fundamentally don't believe you can recover, you might as well save the time and energy of reading books or trying to do any kind of programs, because your subconscious mind is undermining your belief at that point, and anything it's not going to be fruitful. But if and when you finally land in the place that recovery is possible and it's possible for you, then you're going to see tremendous progress and tremendous momentum. So that is the first most important non-negotiable foundational step. Do not pass go. Do not collect $200. Do not do anything until you have grappled with this idea about whether or not recovery is possible for you. And hopefully you find yourself landing in the place where you don't just think, you know that recovery is available and possible for you. So that is the first most important thing that you're going to need for grief recovery. The second thing that you're going to need for your grief recovery journey after you decide that healing is possible for you is some sort of plan. You need a plan. Like, I don't know why we approach recovering from grief and we try to treat it so different than anything else in our lives. If you wanted to buy a house, you would have a plan. If you wanted to do something really hard, like climb a mountain, you wouldn't just haphazardly go try to climb a mountain. No, it's dangerous. It's hard. You would map out a plan. You would get help. You would find tools and supplies. Like, you wouldn't just try to wing it. And recovering from grief is no different. Most likely, recovering from grief is the hardest thing you're going to face in your life. And to just haphazardly go after it or think it's going to happen by osmosis, I'm here to tell you, it does not happen by osmosis. And for those of you, I mean, if you've been around for any length of time and haven't experienced healing, you know that for a fact. If you just sit and do nothing with it, it's not going anywhere, right? But now that we have the belief, hopefully, that we can recover, the next step is to come up with a plan. And I'm not here to tell you what your plan should be. Your plan can be as simple or as complicated, as complex as you need it to be. Same thing. If you're going to, again, let's use the mountain climbing thing. If you're going to go climb a mountain, you can get as detailed with the plan, with every ounce of food that you're going to carry on you, and you can do extensive research, or you can hire a guide and leave that stuff up to them and you just follow the guide. Like, I'm not here to tell you what should be in your plan. I am here to tell you that having a plan is going to radically increase your chances at success. And it's going to drastically shorten the length of time that it takes you to have success. And so, my goodness, like, this recovering from grief and dealing with grief is awful. And why would any of us want to prolong the time or drag it out any longer than necessary, right? Make a plan. And that plan, you can make it for the rest of this year. You can make a shorter term plan, but have some milestones, have some benchmarks. You know, one of the simple things to do for your grief recovery plan is to right now, think about the dates in this upcoming year that might be difficult for you, that might be problematic. Think about it right now when you're not in the middle of all the emotional throes of everything, and think about how you can prepare yourself to have those days not be so hard, right? Is it an anniversary? Is it your loved one's birthday? Is it Mother's Day? What are those dates for you? You can sit and think about it right now. And you can think about how you either need to A, prepare, or B, what kind of coping skills and tools do you need to have on hand for those days? Or 3, maybe you think about what are some things that you could do to make those days not so hard. And it could be just practicing really good self-care. It could be doing something to honor and celebrate your loved one, depending on where you are in your grief recovery journey is going to determine that. But you can right now plan ahead. Part of the reason that grief is so debilitating and disturbing is it has a tendency to just catch us off guard, right? Like these things can come at us and they're so upsetting and we'd feel like we're scrambling, trying to figure it out. So the more that you can have a plan and have things in place, it removes that sense of overwhelm and that sense of being, that it sneaks up on you and you just are a victim to it, right? So have a plan and have, like I said, milestones, and also have times of celebration for yourself that you are doing this incredibly hard thing. We celebrate when we lose weight if we're on a weight loss journey, and we celebrate when we buy a house and we reach that goal. But do we celebrate that we're recovering from grief and loss? Now, people get hung up because they feel like celebrating their progress means that they're happy that their person is gone. Can we just kill that right now? Like, that has nothing to do with that. What we're celebrating is your learning and growing and healing and recovering. And that, my friend, is worth celebrating for. So make sure you build in some celebration along the way. Okay. Now, the third thing that I'm going to really recommend for your grief recovery journey for 2024 is a daily habit. So if you put nothing else on your plan, put this one thing on your plan. If you will commit to one thing and do it every day, show up for yourself every day, one thing to help recover from grief and loss. And that thing can be whatever you'd like it to be, but I'm going to give you some suggestions right here. Your one thing could be that you're going to go on a walk every day. And on that walk, you're going to intentionally think about your loved one. You're going to think about, if there are things you want to catch them up about, you can talk to, I know I have a lot of folks that will talk to their loved one when they go for a walk. You can share with them what's going on in your life. You can share about how much it stinks that they're not here anymore. But like, you set aside this walk time to just be your time to process the thoughts and emotions around the loss, right? That's one example. You can do the same thing with journaling. You can spend time every day writing in a journal how you're doing. And here's the caveat to all of this, though. I want you, whatever thing you decide to do every day, it's important to have the intentionality and the mindset that this thing that you're doing every day is helping you in your grief recovery journey, that's the purpose of that thing. You're not just walking to walk. You're not even just talking to your loved one to talk to your loved one. The intention is that as you do this, you're investing in your grief recovery, and you're believing as you're walking that every day with every step, you're one step closer to your healing. And saying that and knowing that, and you do that every day, you are going to get such accelerated healing. Because there's compound growth that comes with that. There's nothing more powerful than a daily habit. So if you will embrace just one thing that you're going to be committed to doing for your grief recovery, and then do it every day we're on January 2nd. So do it for the 363 days that are left in the year. You will be in a different place. Yes, I'm seeing comments here. Thank you so much for commenting that daily walks has been the biggest thing that has aided a recovery. Absolutely. Daily walks is a great one. So again, journaling could be another thing. You could spend time doing art. Art is very healing. Part of the problem with grief and the trauma loops that we tend to play in our mind, right, is that we can get stuck in these loops about that the person's gone and we miss them so much, or we can even relive the day of the loss, and it just goes on this loop and goes on this loop, and it's very literally damaging. It's very detrimental, not only for your recovery, but for your cognitive health and for your physical health. And so anything we can do to disrupt that trauma loop, and one of the great things to disrupt the trauma loop is to get it out your mouth, out your hand, to take those thoughts and interrupt them and literally just don't let them live in your head. So journaling be about the loss and partner. Journaling can be whatever you want and need it to be. But again, the intention will be that as you journal every day, you're using that as a tool in your grief recovery. So it's a place to vent. It's a place to ask yourself questions. It's a place to acknowledge if you need to go find help. It's a place to talk to your loved one if you are angry at them, if you have questions for them, if there were things left unsaid with them. Like, it's just an outlet for you to be able to do that. But the thing that is so powerful for us is the habit and the intention that we're doing something every day to proactively recover from the grief and loss and learn how to move forward in our lives in a healthy and healing way. And now, obviously, this is, the work that we do with people, myself and the other coaches at Grace for Living After Loss. We have a very detailed, very specific process that we lead people through that helps them. We create a customized plan for them, and then we walk through the plan with them for several weeks so that they are learning how to do it and the tools that are best for them and getting some practice so that they know how to do it on the other side. But I just want to equip and teach you today at least one or two things, and you can pick whichever you'd like to do. Because the last is rewiring your mind intentionally using your words and sentences. And so please, if you did nothing else except for every day, wake up and say, I am recovering from grief. I'm in the process of recovering from grief. Every day, I'm one step closer to my healing. If you did just that every day, that alone is going to give you dividends. I don't know that it's going to get you all the way there, but it's training your brain. It's letting your brain know what's up. It's telling your brain that you are recovering. And remember, your brain trusts what you tell it as truth. And so your brain is like, oh, we're recovering from grief. And it's going to start making connections and finding resources and helping you along the way in terms of recovering. Now, we add to that quite a bit when we're working with people, and we actually help them craft several sentences. And if you've hopped on any of my neurological classes, we know that it takes 21 days to establish a thought, and it takes 63 days for that thought to become automatic, or rather to move from your conscious mind to your subconscious mind. So if you say for 63 days straight, I am recovering from grief and loss. Every day, I'm one step closer to my healing. And you say that for 63 days, your brain, that now becomes the stance from how you're interpreting information. So when you see new information, you're interpreting it through the lens that you are recovering from grief and loss. And that every day, you're one step closer to your healing and your recovery. It is so powerful, you guys. It's so powerful. And so these are the three things, especially number one. If you don't have number one, I would venture a bet that next year, this time, you'll be in a very similar place than you are right now. But having the belief that you can recover, creating a plan for yourself, and then committing to that plan. And certainly you're going to see results if you do something, once a week, or any kind of plan is better than no plan, and any kind of structure is better than no structure. But I am telling you, I have seen the power of daily habits and the compounding effect it has on our minds and on our bodies, and how much momentum we can gain from just doing something every day. And so that would be my hope for you. My recommendation for you is to do those three things. Pick one thing that you're going to commit to every day, and believe that that is an integral part of your recovery journey, and just watch what happens. For those of you that are in our Facebook group, I would love to hear what your plan is. What is the one thing you're doing? And we'll be sure we'll drop a link below if you'd like to book a call with our coaches. We always offer these free calls to just help strategize and find out where you're at in your grief recovery journey, help you come up with a plan, and certainly let you know about additional resources that we have available if you're wanting some help with creating the plan, or if you're wanting to go through one of our more structured programs. We'd be happy to share that with you as well. But we want to make sure that everyone here who's connected to us makes the commitment, has the belief that they can and will recover in 2024, and then shows up to do the work. As always, myself and all the coaches here at Grace for Living After Loss are cheering you on in your grief recovery journey every step of the way. All right, guys, we'll see you again soon. Have a great night.